Tell me about it.
This head has always been there. It's just that
you just like the other one more.
I never pushed it more.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now at least we understand. Ramona, we talk about storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think last time we were here, that's a storytelling exercise as well. However, are we telling stories that sell? Because it's one thing to tell stories, but are we telling bankable stories?
Yes. I want to recast that question so that we premise it on Botswana as a brand.
Yes.
And that is the beginning of the story.
All right.
Botswana, what is our story? You just rightfully said in your narrative that it is through narrative that we get to be known, to share who we are, our sentiments, where we come from, and to position ourselves as a brand.
Yeah.
And basically, from the word brand, then we can speak money, bankable stories like Ubua.
Yeah.
So I think the detachment that exists between our national narrative, our national identity as Botswana, and the stories that embody who we are as Botswana, I think that is the gap that makes us tell unbankable stories, because we exist to be a hybrid form of who we actually are, and the world wants to consume us, but they are unable to consume us.
Okay, so I think I like that perspective. The world is looking for our content, but we are looking at the world content and trying to retell it in our own narratives. So now, how do we build onto that? As you said, Botswana can like a brand, and Botswana on its own is a story that is worth telling. I mean, nobody would ever know that Botswana is one of the 4 countries in Africa that have never been colonized. But when we say that, no, but we had Makhoa, but we haven't told such stories. How do we get the stories out there to make them bankable and also to make people really want to consume that content?
I'll tell you what, I think everything that is original can be replicatable and it can be scalable. But anything that you copy limits you to the extent at which the originator could go and give you information. So I think we need to go back and be original. We need to take pride in who we are as Botswana. And I think this, the presidential champion of mindset change, it's where we has to start. And why I deliberately premise the conversation on rebranding is that we need to recognize Botswana culture as a brand that needs to be, orchestrated, packaged, and set a motion such that it can be monetized and quantifiably scaled for business.
All right. You know, the past 2 weeks I saw something quite that then resonates with your story, right? Khomaka serete, o dikologe. O ntse o tlhomile serete, tshikinya dinoka. Do you know where this is playing now?
No.
It's playing in Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Sure.
People in Bangladesh, ba khomaka serete, ba dikologe.
Yes.
Which then goes to say, but wait, we have a story to tell. We have stories to tell, but we're just not telling them. But what are the challenges, though? What is, we have things that are moving this content far, but what is keeping us from not telling our stories?
Do we, as a people, have national pride?
Okay.
1. 2, do we take pride in our identities, our origins, where we come from? We don't even eat the food that is created in our own shores. We can't even realize that within the food are our stories. Originations of narratives comes from every artifact, every food commodity, and every song, dance, and any genre of content, you name it, which resonates with the Tswana culture. That is our resource, our cultural repertoire. So I think we need to start by saying, reawaken or reckon with ourselves. Who are we as a people? And what can we, of who we are, share with the next person? And you realize that people are excitable and they gravitate towards consuming that which they are not. And only Botswana are people who are only consumers, but never sell something for other people to consume of ourselves. And I think that's where we miss it.
But I think it's also this thing, you know, go to Kasana, for what? I can go to Cape Town. You know, because we think it's not really entirely necessary for us to be a part of it or try to enjoy it. And I think that is what makes it heavy. This thing, why should I pressurize myself? How do we then build onto that? And I like the fact that when we started, you touched on the mindset change. But how are we going to convince Botswana
let me, you know, America started with opening the borders and selling the American vision.
The American dream.
Sorry, the American dream.
Yeah.
What is the Botswana dream? When you think back in time, there is the 4 Bs. Boto, Bonata, Botsorere,
Botlhakga, yes.
Yes. If you look at everything that we're trying to do, these 4 core pillars are in each and every one of them. Our failures, it's because we took our eyes off these 4 pillars. Reimagining who we are as a people, redefining what we're supposed to be in the future would mean us going back to the drawing table and look for these 4 Bs and say, where are they? Then you find that in mindset change, before you speak mindset change, you have to go back to the 4 Bs.
Then we need to reset before we change. I think we need to...
The reset agenda.
Yeah.
We need to reset, recalibrate, refine, and move forward.
And repurpose ourselves for the economy.
And repurpose ourselves.
So now, coincidentally, there was a short debate that happened online recently, and it was in a bit of a webinar. And the conversation was that we don't listen to local content anymore. There was a time before we had your Yarona FMs, Gaps FMs, Duma FMs, when we knew every song, Yaga, Ake Franco, Ake Alfredo Moss, Kanake Mang Hela Motswana. Because Radio Botswana 1, which is the original Radio Botswana, was playing our content, local content. Is it because we've brought in elements that now cushion a lot of foreign content before our own content? Or reads what our stories are not being told?
I'll tell you what, consumption depends on tastes.
Yeah.
Tastes are made and tastes are tamed.
Yeah.
We have tamed our tastes as a people to consume hybrid.
Okay.
We have forgotten what is authentic, what is original, Tswana. Everything that we term local content, it's hybrid content that has got nuances of everything else. Therefore, we look, without us realizing, intuitively, we're looking for that which is authentic within that content. Then we find that it doesn't originate here, it originates elsewhere. Then we go there, because that's where the authentic within this brew is found. So that's the problem. We need to first reset our agenda of our taste to taste which is Tswana, then scale it out.
I'm going to keep going back to this Tomaga Serete thing.
Yeah.
Another debate that sparked on social media, this is just yesterday. Why are we excited about it? And people are attacked back to say, no, but that's who we are.
Yes.
We forget that Masimo is the foundation of who we are. So we have this self-stigmatization spirit or culture within ourselves where we don't think we are worth it. We think what is us, or our taste as you call it, is actually bad. Who made us get to that point?
It's a question of packaging. It's a question of, we need to package our culture so that it's consumable. Culture is...
But package it within our cultural nuances. Could not package our culture with somebody's culture. Tutsube or Stapa is who we are. But the minute I want to say it in the name of hip-hop, am I not running away from who I really am?
No, I think for me the issue there is can my culture be monetizable?
Yeah.
If it cannot be monetizable, because culture, it's a vehicle that drives the tastes of a human being. And human being wants to consume that which gratifies them and gives them self-actualization. So the journey is towards self-actualization. Culture is a vehicle that lends us there. So if our culture, it's lethargic and archaic in packaging and presentation, we will leave it and go for that which is presented as modern, transient, and that can satisfy and fulfill our desperate desire towards self-actualization. So we need to reimagine our culture, position it to answer to the trajectory of consumable satisfaction.
Okay.
Yes.
So we obviously have what we call universal stories
Yes.
that we have in our own context, right? People like Cinderella.
Yes.
Right. But we do have our own version of Cinderella, which is a 100% Setswana story based on our traditional royalties. I think her name was Mapolo. But we are not going to watch Mapolo. If you are to release Mapolo today, it's the same story. But if you are to take Mapolo and play it out there, no one is going to buy it, because we believe that it's better off as Cinderella, right? How do we gauge that difference and say, no, but let's keep our chiweles going, but keep them within the modernization of trade as far as content is concerned, but keep them as they are? Who do we need to educate and when?
I think for starters, what we could do reverse psychology. If you take Chiwele right now as a musical and throw it outside Botswana, the response is going to be immense. Then when you bring it back to Botswana, because it was accepted outside, it is going to be acceptable. So I think what we need to do psychological reverse psychology on ourselves in order for us to take pride in what we are. But that's so unfortunate. So I think even us as Botswana, one other thing that we need to do, one thing that the Americans got right with the American dream was peddling information upon information, a plethora of information coming out, such that at the end of the day, there is an identifying factor within yourselves with the information that is being, disseminated and shared with you. So I think when we create content in Botswana, the only problem that makes our content not scalable is that we don't market it. So marketing is a very important and powerful tool that creates taste in people and allows them to consume content. I think Botswana are not immune to that.
Okay.
Yes.
But do we have platforms, though, that can allow our local stories or our storytelling or our culture to be seen within the local space? I know we can use schools, but do we have platforms that can show our content? If I'm to start a new TV station tomorrow, I'm going to buy Generations first.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
Do we have platforms and motivation for people to say, no, I'm starting a TV station now, but I want to focus on my content and my people?
You can do that, but obviously there is a commercial aspect to running television. So you already want something that can, pay the bills. So you are going to look for what is called anchor projects, anchor programming, which already has got an uptake of the audience, such that the advertisers can buy into that space to anchor your content and ensure that you don't die out. But we need to introduce new content alongside anchor content. When we block our television, mix, we need to mix content such that you put the content which will pull in the audience, then sandwich it with the one that won't pull. So that while they're looking at that one, while they're flipping the channel, they see that one. And they're curious to find out what it is. Before you know it, you've created value and uptake on that content.
But do we know how to take advantage? I'm not to shoot myself in the foot here, right? We have this police story that the whole country would watch.
Yes.
And that story, I think it came after My Star. These were 100% local productions.
Yes.
And we would watch that. But immediately after the Khanzan 9, we move off to Korea. You understand?
Yes.
Can't we leverage on the trending local content to say we are going to keep other content anchoring on this one? Can't we anchor with our content?
You know the answer to that question is a question. Do the program mixers watch the content themselves? Do they watch the channel? Because if you watched the channel, you would know the audience appeal.
Yeah.
Then you would build on that audience appeal. And perhaps we should also ask ourselves, what is our strategy as a channel? Is our strategy to grow content or to grow audience? And what type of audience and what type of content? To what effect?
Okay.
As long as we cannot recognize a commercial aspect to running a channel or a station, we might always not be able to get where we want to go.
Okay.
I think a commercial value has a way of pushing us to the ultimate.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, when you look at online media, and I'll take a bit of a jab at TikTok, and let's say TikTok, that's the most popular thing now. I think it's fading YouTube out a little bit, right? We do things locally. You look at what Botswana do. You take, there's a guy called Ezra Nathan who re-released a song, and the song trended across all of Southern Africa, all the way up to East Africa, right? It was done here by Botswana, and it's a 100% local or culturally driven or history-driven song.
Yeah.
And it grew. And it's growing, right? Should we create our own online platforms now that can proliferate our content internally? Clearly we like our content. The way it trends, clearly we like it. Should we find a way to proliferate our content internally by temporarily telling TikTok, hey, stay away for a while? Let other people find us through us, kind of thing.
I don't think so. I think we need to monetize TikTok.
So we need to go to TikTok and tell that guy, call him to a public accounts committee, and he answers like he was in the US.
No, I think we need to find ways of partnering with the likes of TikTok, because if that content can be consumed by less than 2 million people in Botswana, as opposed to being consumed by over 7 billion people in the world, the royalties that comes out of that, it's more than the first release take home.
But they don't find us relevant. And in their policies, when you read them, they don't find us a relevant market. How do we send our voice out to them? This is YouTube, this is Facebook, this is TikTok and Vimeos, and all of them, Twitch, everyone. How do we get our voice to them to tell them, Bagaitsu, you think we are 2.5 million, but our content is reaching your 4 billion people?
I think it goes back to the questions that we started with.
Yeah.
It's really not about we're 2.5 million, because content knows no bounds and it speaks a universal language. The issue is, how have we positioned our content for world uptake? And I think we have not done that.
Yeah.
We need to believe in our content ourselves, and we need to be clear in terms of the story that we are telling, which is different from the story that every other person is telling. Then that story has got a place in the cosmopolitan world. Then once that story finds its place within that world, then everybody would, those people with numbers, they'll come and say, let's choose your stories, because this story is needed. And I think there are stories that are coming from Botswana that are making it big elsewhere.
Yeah.
They originate here from a population of 2.5. But it's not about a population of 2.5 when it comes to story or music. It's a question of how believable and how invested is this content back home, such that it was some scout somewhere saw it and believed in it so much so that they invest in it and scale it out. Because people out there are looking for opportunities to make money. the world has consumed Hollywood. The world doesn't want Hollywood anymore.
Okay.
The world want Africa. African Nigeria, they are consuming Nigeria right now. They want to consume Botswana.
Yeah. So, now, but who owns our stories, though? I ask this because, and this conversation has come up in South Africa before. People are saying they want to retell their stories of Mandela and Winnie and all those.
Yeah.
There's a story called the United Kingdom that, you know, was told by someone else. Should we retell those, or have they already beat us to our own stories?
The issue here is not that story. It's the legal framework that ensures that
no one can tell our stories for us.
It's copyrighted stories.
Yeah.
That also ensures that when copyright, when the copyright legal framework ensures that economic transferability of rights is achievable.
Yeah.
And I think that is the language or the education which we're still lagging behind as a country. If we can ensure that IP-related laws and education it becomes normal, your day-to-day conversations, then we are able to say now, okay, fine, you told that story, I can tell it in a different way, the same story.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the right language, with the right culture, with the right response, and the right people, talent as well.
Yes, and again, you see, you cannot go to South Africa and tell Mandela's story with a non-South African.
It's not going to happen.
It only happens in Botswana.
Yeah.
Because we don't have legal framework, we don't have legislature. Yeah. But if we have that, we are saying, no, take this person, go and train them for as long as it takes, and come and tell this story. Because this story cannot go without that. Yeah. But we have not put value in our stories.
Yeah. So we need to find a way to put value in the stories. Now let's go back obviously through the day that is being celebrated, which is the World Storytelling Day. Tell us about it. Where does it come from and why are we celebrating?
This day comes from the little bit that I found. It comes from Sweden, somewhere in Sweden.
All right.
That's when it was first celebrated in 1999.
Yeah.
Yeah. So different people came to tell different stories, and it became a world platform to tell different stories. So we as a country, and we as Africa really, we have a very beautiful story which is untapped. So I think this is an opportune time for us to anchor our efforts not only on the 20th of March, but throughout the year, to prime ourselves and to build currency towards the day. So that when the day comes, obviously what should be happening in the month of May, this should be a storytelling month, such that local content, new content is playing on BTV every day. New content that is created for that, because we're building towards this day. But this opportunity has been missed. Okay.
So now if we are to plan it now, let's say a lot of us didn't even know about it and whatever, and we say, okay, next year we need to do this. We've seen how you executed the film festivals and whoever you were working with around it. It was a fantastic job. There's a potential to execute this within the same line.
Yeah.
Should we start telling people, get your stories ready for March 2025?
Let's start today. Commissioning skits.
Okay.
Commissioning 5-minuters, 2-minuters, 1-minuters, authentic, different voices telling the Botswana story. Okay. In your own style, in your own way, in your own interpretation. Let's do that. The festival 2024 is coming again. So when it comes, let's see lots of Botswana stories. The world is coming to the festival. Okay. Will the world consume Botswana stories, or are we going to consume hybrid stories again? Yeah. So I would say let's start now preparing for 2025 World Storytelling Day.
Yeah. So today I got a chance to go to the Botswana Human Resource Development Council fair and clinics. Yes. There are no students applying to, and I'm going to name, I saw there Awil, I saw Limko Quing, and I saw Odicat. I don't see kids going there. Yes. Because there are a lot of stories being told or education around storytelling there. Should we find a way to tap into convincing them at a young age to go for these platforms and get this kind of education that allows them to tell our stories when they have an opportunity to?
You know what I think? I think time has come and time has passed where we need to reimagine ourselves again. Mindset changes Botswana.
Yeah.
When a Botswana starts something, let's rally behind them.
Okay.
Let's not speak negative against what they're doing. Everything has got to go through the storms in order for it to appear on the other side, strong and formidable. The storm does not come to kill, it comes to strengthen what is there. So I think we need all else in the whole world. People rally behind their people. They rally behind every dream that comes from within their countries, and they make it. And when they make it, we celebrate them. We want them to come and pitch their tents within our shores. But when our own pitch the tent, we destroy the tent.
Yeah.
I think that has to stop.
And we don't have to rally behind our people when they are elsewhere. Lesego Chombo, we rallied behind her when she was still here. I think people liked her. But they liked her more when she was in India because there was a representation there. You look at our fast runner. Same thing happens the same way. We are in Ghana now. It's so quiet. Wait until we get a gold medal. Then we want to celebrate the results. How do we educate ourselves to celebrate ourselves now and support ourselves now? Because that's what you're saying. We need to re-energize ourselves, repurpose even our spending towards our own people. But is it an easy thing to do?
It's a very easy thing if we recognize that creative arts include sport.
Yeah.
It's entertainment, but it is also business.
Yeah.
Why do we ignore the business side of the sport? Other people are making lots of money out of sport.
Yeah.
What are we making? Because you develop them from the grassroots, you will cash out of them at a certain level. So we need to understand that this is a business which is primed or premised on entertainment. But there's a business side of that entertainment. And the other side where the consumer consumes, it's where we make money. You understand? So I would suggest that let us scout them from the grassroots. Let's groom them from the grassroots. Let's invest in them and make them an asset that we can export and sell to the world.
Okay.
Yes.
But are we prepared, though, to consume our own local content? Let's say right now someone decides, you know what, from now on, local content, improve it however, use whatever technology, but local content. Are we culturally and mentally prepared to watch and consume our local content?
I'm not 100% sure there. I think we're so given to watching other people's cultures than our own. But I think it is not too late. I think if we put in the resources, capital, financial, skills training and development, if we do that and we develop the consumer as well as the creator of content and the procuring entities of content, if we train that whole value chain or value system, I think we can get somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think what we need also is to train reputable distributors of that content, so much so that they can invest in the marketing of that content for it to be seen and known that it comes from Botswana.
You know, I'm looking at this banning of hunted trophies, right?
Yeah.
That the UK is on about, and most of Europe has been on about it. A task force has been sent there to go and lobby for this. If we told our stories, we wouldn't need to be there. These people would have watched a documentary from us about the benefits of us hunting in those areas and what kind of economic and cultural development it does. So is it time now for us to say, look, instead of us going there, let's start telling our stories to save ourselves the money of a whole crew of people going into UK when they could have just watched a movie?
You see, that's a perfect example. If you take the amount of money spent to go to Europe to lobby,
yeah,
the amount of money that is spent
as
to go there
journalists, the minister,
and say the word and come back to Botswana, the power of stories filmed, everybody demonstrating in a documentary what that trophy hunting has done to the nation. If we demonstrate that, tell a story, every channel you see stories from Botswana talking about that. It's got more power than us traveling to Europe and lobby the ministers. That has got its place, but this has got the power of the masses. These are the real people who are affected on the ground. So if people see that, your NGOs that deals with what do you call that, social people, social needs,
CBRMs,
yes, social needs of people, they see this, that would have a better voice. And I think Botswana should set aside a budget, get us content creators, social media, TikTok, everywhere, film producers, 5-minuters, 2-minuters, put them out
Tell
there
our
to demonstrate
story.
the plight of Botswana. He sleeps without a house because the elephant took the house away.
Yeah.
So we need to do that.
Yeah, so we need to tell those stories.
We need to tell those stories.
They will lobby better. I'm not saying what has been done is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
But I think those stories would hit someone better, showing that one I get higher school because and it might be dangerous to even go to school.
Visuals and emotions.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, Ra, thank you very much. I think 2025 World Storytelling Day, we just need to start telling our 5-minuters. And I think, as you said, we didn't touch the budget speech this year, but I think they should think about it.
Exactly. I think this one is a challenge to you at DBS and BTV. Start it now. 5-minuters, build up to the 2025 World Storytelling Day.
So, Lena, I'm going to challenge you to bring them.
Yes, we definitely will.
All right, thank you very much for giving us time, and thank you very much for coming through. So that marks the end of our conversation. Thank you for watching.
The Celebrity Citrus Project